Hey, oh wow, man, boy, do we have something exciting to talk about today, Keith. Man, I as a kid growing up, I collected, comic books, DC and Marvel as well. I don't know if I were a bigger fan of DC or of Marvel. I don't know. I don't know that it even matters, does it? Because those being able to escape into a really, really good comic story, and putting yourself inside of those, just imagining that you're Flash or you're Batman, or the Riddler or the Joker. Maybe you want to be all those. I don't know, but those things are fun. But the most incredible thing, I always loved to do this as a kid. I would like to draw some of the vehicles, like some of the stuff that they drove or flew or something like that. The invisible jet, that was out there, flying around, and Wonder Woman's just with the lasso, and I mean, just the whole thing. It's just killer. It gives you that escape. So what we're doing today, guys, if you haven't already caught on a little bit, is we're going to talk a little DC Comics.
There might be a few cars at the end of the story. In fact, I guarantee you there are.
Oh man. Oh man.
So I didn't know Jay was going to go here at the beginning, everybody, but I'm glad you did. So I'm probably the bigger comic book nerd between the two of us. I mean, probably not probably, I'm
just gonna go ahead and admit it that Keith definitely has. He's the DC fandom man. He's in there, So
yeah,
you're in your element here today, and I think this is great. And again, folks, thank you for watching. First and foremost, and if you are not subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus, because we want to continue to do this and bring you more entertainment. Most importantly, stay tuned in to the end of this video. We're going to give you some insight to the SEMA show, SEMA 2021, coming up, and we're going to be there. Just going to have some vehicle reveals, kind of like the vehicle we're going to reveal today. Wouldn't you say?
I would, yes. So, and we've seen stuff like this at SEMA. So we're talking specifically about the Flash trailer that just came out, the movie trailer. Now,
right.
Before we get full on into that, which is pretty cool on so many levels, and I know if they're going to take this movie where they're taking it in the trailer, boy. I was watching something last night, Jay. It wasn't this trailer, but it was something comic booky.
Yeah.
And I had this thought. And I thought to myself, comics are superheroes are big business, right? They have been for a decade. Yeah. Marvel doing the whole thing they've been doing, Disney buying Marvel, DC basically trying to keep up. DC has figured out for the time being that their wheelhouse is TV shows, and they've got a ton of TV shows that focus on the DC characters.
Flash being one of them, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a Flash TV show. This is the actual movie that we're talking about.
Right,
but
right.
I just had this thought, and it ties back into what you said about loving the drawing as a kid and the vehicles, right?
Yeah.
And I'm watching some show yesterday or some commercial, and I saw something comic booky, and I thought, are we it? Like the kids now, like Side Shot, they don't really. They're not into. He's not into comics,
right.
And I don't know. I don't see a whole lot of kids into comic book. I know they're into the movies and the toys and stuff, but I guess sort of that magic of reading the comics and seeing that graphic art, it might die with us.
It definitely might, which is really sad because I recall as a kid just, underneath the sheets with the flashlight, man, so that my bedroom light was off so I could stay up and get to the end of the chapter or whatever, and Kids are not. I don't have. My kids are grown, so I don't know. I know that my kids are not really into it that much. However, they do get to Comic-Con. And they do watch the movies when they come out, but they're not as deeply as entrenched into it as us. I mean, we were like it's kind of like baseball card trading, Major League Baseball card trading. That is not even. I'm not even real sure that's as big. With kids.
Topps just lost their contract with MLB.
See,
so there's a different company stepping up now, and it's gone the way of the digital image. It's kind of like Bitcoin for baseball cards or whatever.
It's kind of funny. Is like we're always trying to improve upon it. Like I get it, going away from paper, but there's just something about reading that paper and flipping those pages and having that hardback book or just that Sunday paper, man. Instead of getting I don't like the digital read. I like the paper read. And so I don't know. Maybe we are the last generation of fans of this. I don't know.
If anything can save it, if anything can save it, it's what's going on right now on the big screen. And if anybody can save it, Michael Keaton can save it. So
Michael Keaton, by the way, my favorite Batman.
Yeah,
my favorite all time.
I think a lot of people would agree with you. So here's where this gets interesting. Okay, so for those of you that are car fans, automotive fans, stay with us here. There's a purpose to this that I'll bet we can tell you something by the end that you're going to be excited about. So the Flash, the movie The Flash, which is going to come out,
which is based on what Flashpoint. The
Okay, so Jay's been doing his homework, everybody. The character playing the Flash, it's Ezra Miller is the actor.
Right.
Now, it's the same Flash character that was in the previous DC movies like Justice League, for example, Batman v Superman, and so this is the one where the Flash gets to tell his story. But as Jay just pointed out, in that Flashpoint series, that famous comic book storyline,
right?
The Flash. Now, Einstein theorized that if you can, anything that can travel faster than the speed of light can travel in time.
Right.
So the theory that they're going with is, I realized that I forgot to silence my phone.
It sounded good. It's Flash is calling you, man. Or either,
thanks,
or
man.
either,
right. The theory that I'm going with is the Flash can time travel because he can run faster than light. Now, this has been explored many times on the Flash TV show, in the comics. Right. So this is not a new concept.
No.
But where they are taking this in the movie is freaking awesome. So we already know that Michael Keaton will be a Batman in the movie.
Correct.
We also know that there will be other versions of Batman, like Ben Affleck, in the movie.
Correct.
So now I can kind of talk about how this trailer sets us up, but you had a thought in there. I could feel it.
Well, no, not necessarily a thought. It's like when I watched the trailer, it was more of an exciting. It was extremely exciting to see them reveal. They were teasers, and there's not like an official movie trailer, so to speak. These are teaser trailers. There's not a whole ton unless you're a DC comic fan, you probably don't get it. But I did, and we'll talk. We'll get into depth, step by step with this video. But what I found interesting is some of the altered things that are happening throughout that whole process.
Yeah.
So that's where you're going. I know that.
The producers of this trailer were not afraid to be subtle. And I watched this, and I got to be honest, everybody. Like, I sent it to Jay, and I knew Jay was probably not as big of a comic book nerd as me. And I thought, is he going to get this? And I should have known that he would. But the scene opens up, and there's a car pulling up to, and it's got to be Wayne Manor. I mean, and it's over. There's brush overgrown it, but you see the gargoyles, and it's driving through the fog, and there's gates. It could be Arkham Asylum gates, but I kind of think it's Wayne Manor. But it's something in Batman's world, right?
Right.
And then
absolutely,
seconds into it, you hear that voice.
Absolutely.
And you go, wait a second.
Keaton.
Is that Michael Keaton?
What's
Michael
man.
Keaton doing talking in a Flash movie?
Now, exactly. Here's the deal. There's some distinction there, too. And, whenever I watched the Batman coming out and the trailer for that with
which
Ben
is
Affleck.
Robert Pattinson. Now that's a different actor. The Batman, Robert Pattinson. Those of you that did the Twilight movies, you would know him as one of the main characters in those. I wasn't really. That was a little bit too teenagery for me. But my wife read the books. He's from that series.
His voice, when I was listening to the trailer, it's different, but it's extremely close to that of Michael Keaton's. But Michael Keaton's is so distinctive, man. It is so distinctive.
I have to wonder if they won't drop Robert Pattinson into this movie at some point. And we see the Flash, and you hear Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne or Batman talking to the Flash, and he says, so you can travel to any universe, you can travel to any point in time. Why would you choose to save this one? And you see what looks like Barry walking up to his mother.
Right.
Now remember, if you've ever, the Flash storyline is the Flash's mother was killed and the murder was framed on his father, who was then jailed.
Right.
And he became the Flash, and he was tortured basically to try to prove his father's innocence and to find the actual murderer. And that's a big Flash storyline. So they're going to go into that a little bit in this movie.
It's going to be interesting, man. Yeah, because I saw in the scene, he walked up behind his mother, and it's. But here's the deal. All right, so let's get into the meat of this whole story and why we're talking about this.
So there's a cut in the trailer. It looks like they're in the Batcave. It actually looks like, I went back, I've watched it so many times, that the Flash might be bringing along a younger version of himself. Looks like there might be a kid Flash with him or something like that. And then Michael Keaton in the shot is nowhere to be seen. We don't know if he's like off camera or whatever. But all you see is a car covered, like underneath a blanket, a sheet. Right. Yeah. And you look at that outline.
Right.
And there is no doubt what it is. There is no
absolutely.
doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so cool to know that one's coming back, because I think that's, again, that one too also was one of my favorite Batmobiles.
The 1989 Batmobile in Tim Burton's Batman, which they then also used in Batman Returns.
Right.
Is, I gotta say, like one of the coolest looking Batmobiles.
I think so.
He brought in the whole turbine thing and made a big deal about that. And I mean, it was so different than anything we had seen in the comics or the TV show for sure. Now, there were some versions close to it in the comics. I guess I should be more fair. But for so many of us, that car oozed just awesomeness, right?
It did. I liked it better than even some of the later ones. I think it was like was it 03 where you had the one that would flip over and what did they call that?
The tumbler. You're talking
the
about in the ones where Christian Bale played Batman.
Yeah, it was the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That was more of a like tank kind of.
Yeah, and I didn't care for that. It was just, I felt like I was watching scenes out of like, say, Transformers or something, and I didn't care for that, Well, but it was a good series, but
the director and the producers have to know in this Flash movie, they have to know how iconic that is, because even the Flash himself, the very end, you see him. He grabs the cover off the car and pulls it off to see what's under it.
Right,
and just loses his damn mind, man. Like it's just awesome.
Gives you one of those, whoa, yeah, absolutely, man. Because who wouldn't, right? And again, going back to what I started talking about in the beginning of this segment is that how cool would that be to draw, as a kid? And that's some of the things that we like to do, drawing vehicles, concept type vehicles and stuff in this industry, in the automotive industry, is nothing new. So this stuff right here that we're seeing on the big screen comes from kids starting out reading these comic books, and they want to draw. Next thing you know, they're a Chip Foose, right? And they're drawing concept vehicles and resto mods and stuff at SEMA,
now,
right?
Before we do a little Chip Foose SEMA thing here, I got to ask, and we did a segment recently on the Knight Rider movie that is the rights to it were purchased. The director that did the Fast and Furious movies is signed on as the director for the movie. And we released a video on that. If you haven't seen it, just make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Go back and scroll through it. I think we called it, didn't we call it Kid or something like
Kid.
that? The Knight Rider movie.
Kid. Yeah, Kid.
And it is by far one of the most interesting videos that we've released in terms of the comments.
Absolutely.
People were just very polarized one way or the other about it, okay? And so here's where I'm going to go with this. In similar fashion, you guys that are watching this, tell us what you think about this 1989 Batmobile. Leave us a comment. Are they going to mess with it? Should they mess with it? Even just to breathe a little Chip Foose change onto it, right? Like maybe a couple subtle design changes.
Just
Would
a little
it be
bit
blasphemous? Because remember, Bruce Wayne's tech always evolves. And if this is an older Bruce Wayne in the movie, that Batmobile will have probably been upgraded a little bit. Now, he blew one up in Batman Returns.
Right.
Versus the Penguin and I think Two-Face, if I'm not mistaken. But he could have had another one. Right? He's Bruce Wayne. He's got unlimited budget. He's got a backup.
I would say it's like, it's like what you've seen over the years with the progression of changes from the Corvette, which I think is probably one of the finest examples of evolution of a vehicle. And could this be what's going to be going on here? Will it be what we saw, which was basically based on a 1965 Ford Mustang, I think is what they did. And then they added the wings and the turbine and all that kind of stuff. And I think it had a Chevy V8 in it even. Or something like that.
And there were a couple of working versions and, the cockpit that slides back and forth. Now, if we, and we'll get to the SEMA stuff here in just a minute, when we see Chip Foose next week,
right,
I'm going to just point blank ask him if he had a hand in the Flash movie Batmobile.
Let's do it.
I'm going to straight up ask him. And he's not going to be able to tell me yes or no, but with the camera rolling, I think I can tell by his reaction.
Yeah, we might be able to get a little snippet of something in there.
So make sure you're subscribed. Ring the bell. We will be going live at SEMA all week next week. And I promise, guys, Chip Foose, the question's coming. Did he have anything to do with the Batmobile in the Flash movie? Right.
Absolutely. Now, here's something I want to get into real quick before we go even further into that aspect of what we want to talk about today. We're running out of time here, and I know we are. But I wanted to give you some information I found on Batmobile cost comparison.
Ooh, this is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, the 1950 Batmobile, which is like not the original. I mean, the original Batmobile started in 1939.
Yeah,
I think,
this is the one that was based on the Ford.
Correct. It was the Futura.
Galaxy.
It was the Lincoln Futura is what it was, I think.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah,
anyway,
I think you're right. Yeah.
That cost was $13,604, 1950. Okay. 1940 to 1970 Batmobile average cost was $32,000. Now, in comparison to that, the Tesla Model S right now is about $93,500. The 1970 to 2000 Batmobile average was $358,000. Okay. Now, in comparison to the Hennessy Venom GT at $1.5 million and the Koenigsegg Agera S was $1.5 million. Now, the Dark Knight Trilogy Batmobile, or the Tumbler, what we referred to earlier, $1.6 million is what the cost of that vehicle was.
Okay.
The current Batmobile is $1.96 million. Now, in comparison to that, we're going to round off the list with two more. The Bugatti Veyron Grand Sport Vitesse, I think is right. Vitesse, $2.5 million, and then the Lamborghini Veneo Roadster, $4.5 million. There you go. There's your comparison of what those Batmobiles have cost over the years.
I think I see where you're going with this. Okay, mm-hmm. I think if I'm reading this right, you've narrowed down. Okay, so Batman is either Elon Musk, Christian Koenigsegg. I mean, come on, man. I mean, think about it, right?
Right.
He's got the R&D department.
Exactly, man.
Or it's one of the chiefs at Ferrari or Lamborghini.
You just never know.
I mean, think about it, guys. Like, they have access to. They burn one up, they crash it, whatever. I need another prototype today, Bob. Any problem? I'm just going to take this one over here. Okay.
Since the original was a Ford product, do you think maybe it might be, say, Jim Farley?
Jim Farley. I don't see Jim Farley.
You don't think you'll see Jim as Batman?
No, I don't. You never know, man. You never know.
Yeah.
I can just see the R&D guys going, why is there bullet holes in this car? Where have you been with my prototype?
Right. Well, all I have to say is that I hope that they don't screw it up. I would say that if Chip Foose does have a hand in this, it won't be screwed up. It'll look pretty damn awesome, and I can't wait. And who knows? Maybe at SEMA we might see a glimpse of it somewhere. SEMA has been known to kind of sneak a few things in subtly without like showing their hand. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
So do we want to get into any of the stuff coming up at SEMA that we're going to be covering?
We'll close it with that. Go ahead. You guys make sure you're subscribed to get a heads up on everything that Jay's about to lay out. Right.
So Chip Foose is going to be there all week, exhibiting some of his vehicles, his resto mods.
And drawing.
And he's going to be drawing live for us through that entire week. So we're going to try to get Chip on camera, and hopefully we can maybe get a quick interview with him, or at least a shout out to us. And so stay tuned to that. The only way that you can catch that is going to be, you have to be subscribed to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. And then you want to turn that subscribe button from red to gray, and then ring the bell, or as our partner in crime, Side Shot says, click that bell, because he knows that stuff. So we have that going on. We also just found out today that there's going to be an exclusive reveal that will include a 1953 Corvette concept by Dave Kendig, a 2023 Nissan Z, as well as a Transform Project X. And we're going to be checking out all of that stuff at SEMA. So you got to make sure, again, that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel to catch that. Because, again, all week, next week, we're going to be going live. So stay tuned for that, okay? What do you got to add?
I'm just looking forward to sitting in the Batmobile next week.
That would be great. That would be
everybody.
Fantastic.
See you soon. Same bat time, same bat channel.